Hey everyone, it's Ellen and welcome to my channel. So today's Friday. On Fridays I like to do florals, and I just picked up some asters and some tiny little daisies that are kind of like dying in my yard, but they're fall flowers, and thought I'd do another entry in my botanical sketchbook that I have and show you how I use these two brushes to create this little delicate floral. I'm using a small Filbert brush and a number 6 long round brush, very delicate. The brushes really dictate how you kind of paint, how the movement of the paintbrush and the water. A smaller brush is going to make more control. I'm always telling people larger brush, looser, less control, smaller brush, more control, tighter. It's just kind of the nature of the beast, right, with the brushes. And so therefore we're doing a more tighter, controlled floral here in the botanical sketchbook that I have. Also check out my Patreon. I have ad-free videos, traceables, exclusive tutorials, and a live stream in the top tier. It's just a place people go and support my channel, which I appreciate so much. You can check it out right there. Boop. So without further ado, let's get painting a botanical. Okay, so I'm going to go over some supplies. I have my palette here. I always talk about what colors I use when I go over them. By the way, people are asking me what colors are in my palette, and it's pretty much, I'd go over the same thing all the time. Prussian blue, ultramarine blue, paynes gray, burnt umber, peacock blue, cadmium yellow deep. Now here I have a combination of different ones. So I have cadmium red light. I have to get a better palette, by the way. I have some bright rose in here and brilliant orange. And I might throw in some burnt sepia and maybe, some other colors in here. The brushes I'll be playing with today to make the simple asters is an 8 Filbert from Princeton. It's a Velvet Touch series. Really small, kind of tiny oval. And I'll be using a small number 6 long round Velvet Touch series. So again, I've mentioned this many times to other people, but the brush dictates, the brush dictates how you're going to move your paint, how you're going to paint on it, whatever you're going to use. So I'm using small brushes. So it's going to be more control with small brushes, smaller movements, all that nonsense. If I had a bigger one, it's, a little less control with a 10 looser kind of movements, right? 10 or 12. So these, like I showed in the video at the beginning, are asters that are kind of dying in my yard, but and then I found these little teeny little daisies. Aren't they kind of cute? So these are fall flowers. Just kind of not having a good day, but it's just great to do this kind of delicate botanical. And I have my botanical sketchbook back, right? Remember the sketchbook? I have a couple of on YouTube tutorials with this book. This is the Strathmore Watercolor Travel Journal, 5x8. Very hard to find right now. They're out of stock everywhere. I sneakily got one from eBay or somewhere, but they'll come back in stock. But they're out of stock right now. And these are some of the paintings that I've done. And actually, I combined this painting right here with this painting, and I'll show you what I did with that. So for my very first watercolor treat overseas, I combined these two paintings to make a nice little gift tote bag for everybody. See, there they are, the two paintings, and I combined. That was kind of a cute kind of idea. So yeah, well actually it was this one and just greens here. So just simple little delicate, flowers I put in here. I like the thickness of this paper. I only did one side. I might go back in and do the other side. And so these were more fallish kind of flowers in here, and then more springier, summer. Let's move that one here, more summer, and now we're going to get back into the fall again, right? I'm going to have to push this paper back and get a clip. Excuse all my noise. Use it. This is a big old clip. Ow. So I don't want to just go ahead and just throw the paint on. If I'm going to practice with this brush, just grab a piece of scrap. This is arch paper, but much nicer than the Strathmore pad. But it's good to practice with the brush first. I always talk about this. Practice. So I'm going to take that Filbert brush. I'm going to make the purple color. Simple color to make with ultramarine blue. I'm going to grab some ultramarine blue here. Get it really loose. By the way, you can always activate your colors just by spraying with a spray bottle. And I'll just grab my bright rose. And boom, purple. Right there. Now, this has a great flat oval but I'm not going to hold it this way. I'm going to hold it this way on its side. See, I'm twisting the brush. When you hold it on its side, you can make this nice little daisy kind of movement. Just tap, tap, like that. And you already have the aster right there. Small brush. Dictates. And the more you push down on this brush, the bigger the little petals will be, less, you know, you see? But it already has the rounded edge. It's like perfect to make an aster, a little teeny daisy. This brush is the best brush for many little blooms. And you can still use it for the stem too. I'm gonna make some green with my cadmium yellow deep and peacock blue. That's a bright green. A little too bright for this. I'm gonna add some more blue. You get more of a medium green. And I'll grab a little brown. Turns a little more olive. And grab a little more blue. And again, I would hold it on its side. See how I'm holding on its side? It's a little thicker than I want, right? Because it makes those thick little petals. So that's where the number 6 comes into play. You take the number 6 brush, and you can do nice, super skinny lines. I use this brush in many of my entries, not entrees, in the book. Ooh, it's Friday, you can tell. And just pushing down, and it's got a nice big point. So maybe you would just use this brush to make the stems and some like pointier leaves. See, I'm pushing down and twisting it. And you could go back and use the Filbert brush. See how there's little leaves right here? Of course, a little darker green. So I'm going to take some Prussian blue and a little yellow. I have some peacock in there too. I get a deeper green, right? And a little brown. That's a little too much brown. A little blue. Really deep green. Maybe grab a little more yellow. Okay, so now we have like a darker green. You just keep playing with the colors until you get the color you want. And then I see you have the stem here. You're just gonna tap, tap, tap. And you have those nice little leaves that you see here. See, this is a little practice. Practice before you paint your little picture. But I like to go for it sometimes. Nobody wants to do that. And for the white little daisy, now it's not really white. It has a hint of purple. So it's really, really pale purpley pink. So either I'm going to use pink or purple. I'm just going to grab that purple, add a little pink, way more water. So it's very pale, see? Just really light. You can keep it in the same family. And then you add the yellow, kind of in the center. Yellow-green. It's a combination of yellow and green. If you look at the flowers. See? And you get that little pale pink. So now that we have our practice, and our colors, and our brushes, then you can go for it in your sketchbook. Although sketchbooks are not meant to be like serious, so I'm just looking at it, and maybe I want to make it have like a flow to it, like going left or right. That's what you have to figure out. So I might start off doing a stem first, and this kind of is, I have to push this down. It's a little too invasive, in my opinion. So I'll take my brush, number 6, and I'll just start to kind of like this. Curve it. I want movement. This kind of looks straight up and down. Some of them going this way. You can have some straight going up and down, crisscrossing it, and then some more movement. Now you see that one branch, this daisy branch, has many branches off of it, kind of funky like that. So that was a deeper green. So maybe I go like that, and then you see the branches kind of off that. And then you make those little daisies on the end. See, I'm crisscrossing that, kind of get it wider. Really just delicate with this brush. Whereas the asters, so one big branch that's kind of going upward, right? So maybe here I just had that light green. I can make that bigger branch. And then they had these ones that kind of swooping up like this. These ones were going outward, and these ones were swooping upward. And then from there, these ones have different leaves, not those little short ones. These are a little bit longer, as you can see. a little pointy, so I can use this color here. And off that stem, push down and kind of point, pull it back, and you get that nice little point. You can start here and kind of move it, go down and back out. All these little movements, very controlled with the small brush. Seeing up a little bit. But they're all kind of like pointier and not short and stubby like the other one. See how I'm making those kind of crisscross? Looks a little more natural. And over in here, just the movement with the brush. So he has a nice free flow to it. Gonna go back and add this like lighter green. And we can kind of do the same thing here. And then at the end, you know, you'll see the asters on the end. Not the family, but the flower. Kind of twist them, pull them back. It looks a little more natural. Isn't that fun? So remember these little ones? We had this brush, the Filbert. Remember, just holding it on the side, just tapping it to make those little tiny little leaves. It has a delicate look to it. See how I twisted my brush this way, maneuver it and touching it this way. So those are a lot different than the first one. The brush is going to dictate all this. The bigger the brush, the looser. These smaller brushes, you have way more control for more delicate kind of items. See, just kind of crisscross. Not to be perfect. They should be kind of like moving around and different. They're not all perfect, as you can see. And some of these, it's kind of wonky, going this way, that way, crisscrossing over. Add a little brown to it, more brown in some of these, or even a little more Prussian blue. Change up some of the colors on it, just to make it a little different. See, I'm adding a little more blue. Get a little wonky there. There, and then we can start to play with adding the color of the flowers in. Some people like to do the flowers first and then the stem second. I'm both ways. I like them both ways. I don't discriminate. So I've got that purple again. Now some of these asters you can see, because they're dying, they're curling back. We can keep them that way or just kind of play with it. And you can see I didn't do the stem up into the little belly, the center here. So I might add some of this green by going like this. Little dashes, kind of creating like that ball area where they would go into. Adding some darker green here. And then once I've got that placed, I can start to add my purple. I might want to make the pigment a little thicker, the paint, so I'm going to go back and grab that pink and the ultramarine blue, less water. There we go. The paper towel is always good to take off that excess water. A little more control. So again, see, I'm just going to hold it on the side and just kind of twirl it. You can kind of twist it. Look how it looks like the real natural aster. Now I don't have any face on, but I could do something like that. I could pretend like this one's going to face on. Turn that one like that. See, I'm just twisting this brush, manipulating it. You can move the paper, but right now I'm just showing you can just twist the brush. Just manipulating those little asters. Twist, twist. It's really just a fun brush to try and play with. I've done many florals with this brush. I really enjoy using this brush for little ditty kind of flowers. Right. And then go back into the really pale one. We see like the daisy. You could do the daisy first like I did and then put the center. But just be conscious of leaving some of that. So I'll be putting some of this light pale color in here and being conscious of making sure I have nothing in the center so I can add that yellow. Or you can do the yellow first. I generally like to do the pale color first though. See, it's very pale It's kind of like white, but it's just a pale, pale, pale. If you can see this, let me zoom in a little bit. Just a really pale daisy. I'm just tapping the brush. Tip, 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 tiptoes through the, you know, it's just so delicate. I think I'm gonna add some more over here. So this is what you do. You do your initial flowers, putting them down, putting them around the page where you want them to go. Making sure you can see that. Go back out. This is very faint. And then you can add that yellow. So right now it feels like it's separating one on the other side. I do want to have some kind of swooping over this way. And then I'll add some other stems too. So I have that yellow. I'm going to add a little brown to it. More like a mustardy yellow. Because there's kind of fallish. Just kind of tap that in there. Tip, tap, push down this way. This way. Not this way on the side. This way kind of frontwards. Just pushing downward. Just a little tap. And you've got that yellow center. Right in there. Same thing in this little asters. Put that yellow in there. It's just that simple. Look how delicate and pretty that is. So now I want to go play. Move all those things out of the way. Still fall. Let's add some other elements, right? I've got that nice burnt umber color. Water that down. I could add some Paynes gray. You know, you don't have to, just because you see that, you can add some of these other elements. So here I'm going to add, just going to take the brush, kind of play, just putting some gray curling stems here. Go right over that and out here. And then I'll add some leaves, pushing down, connecting. So you didn't see them that I picked these up, but I just added another element. Just changing it a little bit. Right? I might turn the paper, pushing, and then kind of dragging the tail. And let's add some brown. This might be a little more rust brown, but now it's gonna, if it hits this one, because it's already wet, it might bleed a little bit. Yep, see it did. That's okay. Just gonna go up in here and add some of these browns. Maybe a thicker paint. A little yellow. It won't bleed as much. Just gonna have some like bendy kind of brown, kind of like grass in a way. Right, and I might add a little Paynes gray to make the brown more of a deep brown instead of a red-orange brown. Go back over that. Bend it down. I just like to play. And now it seems more fall oriented. Right, because it would look a little springy with the greens and the yellows and the pretty colors. And then I'm going to actually take that brown and go into my greens and make it really kind of an olivey green brown. Just kind of put some leaves. Just kind of fill it in. Let's just play with that. Just really delicate little leaves kind of swooping in, up and around. Down here. Swoop. This whole movement is kind of fun with this brush. This is the number 6. See, it's making these delicate stems and leaves. Pointy, nice pointy brush. Now I'm going to go back in, and some areas over here I'm going to add some more of those asters. So I'll put a little short stem here. You're just going to figure out, you're going to play with this. And I'll go and add some more of those green leaves. I'll go back and add that. See, I need more water. If it's not moving on your paper, it's not wet enough. There. And I'll grab my Filbert brush again. Maybe I make this a little more bluish purple. And I'll do the little tap, tap, tap. Or I can add a little brown to it. See? It's a little deeper purple. Make a little pink. Play around with the purples. So, tap, yeah, it's like a deeper or darker purple. Who's to say it couldn't be that color? Right? Just add another. And you can also tap that darker color right in here, right by the center. See? And I'm just going to really highlight that area. Can add more of that deeper, darker color on that side. Kind of figure out where I want it in here. And I can add the bright purple in there too. So it kind of balances. Put some over here. See, it makes sense. And you can go add some of that pretty light purple. That like pinkish light purple daisies. Just kind of add them. Like I can put some over here and I can add the stems in a bit. So it's very cohesive. I kind of move, you want to move around the page. See, I just added them. I can go back in and add the little yellow. And then take my green, oh, excuse me, my number 6. Do like the little stems to connect them. Just really delicate. I'm gonna have like a nice entry to my sketchbook. A little deeper, darker greens, fall entry. Playing around with the blues and the greens. Gonna get a dark green here. You can add even more elements, like adding a vein in between the little leaves. You know, it's all preference. Get a little darker on some of these. Maybe in a stem. Add some wispy lines in some of these. I like it to look a little wispy nature, right? And I'll go back in with this one, and I'll make those little dits. Let me grab the olive color. And it's that simple. The little brushes to play around with for all the delicate ones you want to play around with. Just grabbing some browns, some deeper greens, just adding some more darker elements just by little tippy taps. And then I have another entry in my little botanical sketchbook. Okay, so what I didn't realize is this whole section was cut off. So basically I just took this number 6 and used some burnt umber, and I just maybe added a little yellow to it and just did simple leaves going like this and this way. I added the gray and just did the same thing with these ones, pulled them down here. Kind of want to move around the page. And that mustardy yellow, go back to practice burnt umber, you're just kind of like taking the brush and pushing down and pulling, just making these movements like this, you know, grabbing some of that yellow going through there. Just showing you again because I cut off that I didn't realize it wasn't going back. Sorry. It's hard to do all this stuff. And then anyway, bend, go up and then bend down, like do all these kind of movements with your brush to create these nice fun delicate leaves. Smaller the brush, more control, and you can create some really kind of pretty things. Another thing is to do, maybe try crisscrossing the leaves. What do I mean by that? I'll show you right now. Give us a nice green color here. So you have the stem here. You put the leaves here, kind of bending like that, or you bend the leaf, kind of swing it back down and hit that stem. You see how I did that? Swing it back, hit the stem is there. Go over like that. I do a bunch of those. So you, the leaf is like this, hitting it. It's kind of like a snake. And you're crisscrossing that. Or here's another stem here. And you're going, touching out, over and down, and going like that. See? It crisscrossed over that stem. Do another one up, over and down with the point. Looks a little more natural this way. See the crisscrossing? So, you know, it's just about having fun with your sketchbook, having fun with some smaller brushes, learning how to control like a Filbert, a tiny Filbert, and number 6. As you can see, the smaller the brush, the smaller the, you know, the petals, the leaves, a little more concentrated, a little more control. So this might be something that's really good for somebody who wants more control. So I hope you enjoy this. You know, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And just, you know, don't get stressed out with this stuff. It's just, that's why you practice first. Practice on some crappy paper. Play around with it. If you have any asters in your yard, take some pictures of them. But they're really simple. I mean, you can make daisies the same way with this brush. Just holding it on its side. It makes these great little tiny petals. I love the little Filbert. All kinds of fun things to do with this brush. And of course, the number 6 makes nice little tiny little leaves and stems. All right, guys, take care and have a great weekend, and I'll speak to you soon.